Hello everybody, in this quick 5-minute video I'll be making an easy wood project that's instantly going to make my boring vanity light modern. Also I stuck something at the end of this video that's guaranteed to make you happy. Alright, let's get right into it. I started off by cutting up a bunch of thin strips of 1/2-inch Baltic birch plywood. In my case, everything for this project I used is scrap wood that I just had laying around, but you could just use whatever you have. Before I started doing all the cutting, I took detailed measurements of the light that I'm trying to cover, specifically the depth, height, and the width, to make sure that when I'm done, I won't collide with any parts of the light. And after the pieces were cut, I mitered each side to a specific measurement in 45-degree miters. And with all the pieces cut and mitered, as well as the short ones that will go against the wall, I took some time to sand everything down to 120 grit and round over the corners so everything is nice and smooth. And next, to put together all of these sub-assemblies, I'll be just gluing the miters together with clamps. I'm using these 2 corner clamps and spreading the glue evenly on each side and clamping them together. Since I only had 4 of these clamps, I had to do them in batches and come back every hour or 2 hours and do the next set. I had a total of 10 sets. I have to admit I'm not the best woodworker and I'm still learning, so maybe one of you could leave me some advice in the comments on how maybe you would connect these pieces and we can learn together. Where I do feel more at home is metal. I actually am currently a full-time welder, and I have just under 7 years of experience in the trade of welding and metalwork. And in future videos where I can be more in my element, I'd love to share some of that knowledge with you and show you some tricks and maybe make some really cool stuff out of metal. I'm much better at that than just wood stuff. Anyway, back to the project. I'm using wood glue and brad nails to connect all the rails from before to another piece of plywood. To get the spacing right, I'm using a couple 1/4-inch drill bits between each one. Now usually before I start any project, I'll model the whole thing and make sure the design is good before I start, but in this case I was kind of winging it, and I was worried it would be too floppy once it's done, but after I put all the rails on, it really stiffened up. And now I'm putting together a frame that will be screwed and glued to the back of that cover we just made, and that notch in the middle is going to fit perfectly over top of the existing light I have close to the wall, so I won't even have to use any screws to attach this to the wall. It'll just sit nicely just like that. And I'm using biscuit joints and glue to fit the corners together. These should be stronger because this will be holding most of the weight. Winter has started here in Ontario, so I'm really happy that this year I was able to insulate this whole space and add a heater. Hopefully that won't cost me too much in electricity, but it's worth it not having to wear a jacket and work with cold tools. It's going to make it much easier to make more videos for you. Now it's time for the finishing stage. In this case, I'm staining this whole thing. Some people love staining, some people really hate it. I'm kind of indifferent. I don't like the mess, but it's a satisfying thing to do. I like the part where you get to wipe everything off. I'm using Mission Oak polyurethane and stain in one made by Varathane. It's the first time I've used it, and I think it was alright. It was a little bit thick, but the finish was better than just regular stain. And here we are at the installation. I'm just removing these opaque shrouds since we won't be needing them. The thing we just made will be providing the cover, so I will save these for a different project. And finally, to get this thing on there, all I have to do is plop it right onto the body of the light, and it holds on great. It's a snug fit and doesn't need any screws. I think it turned out pretty nice. Here's some nice shots. Thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you got something useful out of this video. If you had better ideas, leave them in the comments and I'll be happy to read them. And since you made it to the end of the video, let's see if Luna can catch a snack. Good girl. Good girl. Lay down. Paw. Touch. Good girl.